Yes, my name is Lindmark, as Malin said, and I'm a member also of Sweden. And my talk is meant to be sort of a background, it's historical and so on, also from an agricultural point of view. And when I started to prepare myself, I sort of drifted into another thing. But yeah, I will do it anyway, because what I got hung up to was sort of to understand this or to see it, at least the way I want to present it, has a lot to do with our way to look at nature, our views on our perception of nature and so. So I think that's sort of a background that we need to bring with us into the discussion. And when we talk about this thing, the perception, other ways to look at nature and owning nature and our relationship to nature and to the environment around us, we tend to look on other cultures, indigenous people, native cultures that are not longer alive today, so to say. But I think that is something that we really need to do to understand what we're facing today. But I wanted to say, I want to emphasize also that also in our own culture and history, a completely different way to look on nature and owning land. It's not at all so far back in time. So that's sort of what I came into. And to look at this, I want to mention a book that I like a lot and that sort of discussed this transition time when we started to look on nature in a different way. It's called The Death of Nature, and it's a very speaking name, I think. Talande titel, I don't want to say. And it's written by a woman called Lindmark. And she opens her first chapter by saying, the world that we have left was organic. And not organic in the sense that it's used today a lot, that's the English word for ekologiskt, alltså ekologisk, but it's called organic farming. And that's not what I'm after, it's more the real meaning, or the original meaning of the word, organisk. Yeah. And of course, it was, she called it the organism theory, as the idea of the nature as a living thing. And say, until the, nu ska jag säga rätt, 1500-talet, alltså 16th century, almost every one of us, of course, lived very different lives from today with an intimate and daily contact with your surrounding, with the nature around you. And the description of nature was that of a living creature. The world was described as we know Mother Earth, and that is not only in Native Americans or Maori people or something that describes it that way. It seems to be what almost every culture before us have looked upon the earth, more or less that way, with those words. And she was described this in sort of two ways, as the kind, life-giving, caring Mother Earth, but also the wild, uncontrollable, capricious being that you couldn't control or predict or so. And that during the 1600-talet and the Renaissance and after, this organic worldview started to slowly shift. That's what happened when we got enlightened by the nature scientific society, of course. And the world went from being a living creature, even your mother, to becoming a machine, of course. That is possible the world is possible to understand, to map, to control, dominate, manipulate, and of course also own in a more personal, strict way. And this approach, this new way to look on nature and look on Earth, that's happened so actually recently also in our culture. Of course, beredde vägen, eller made it possible to do those things that science society was starting to make it possible for us. All those new inventions, we needed another way to look on the earth to be able to do this, of course. And then I came into this little tale that I thought was so speaking for the subject. So I'm going to tell an allegoric tale about this that talks exactly about this transition time in our history and the conflicts. And I also think when we talk about modern environmental movements and what we discussed today, and we say that is sort of new. Usually we say that the environmental movement started in the 60s with Silent Spring in Dr. Carson's book. It's true in one respect, in another not at all, of course. But this little tale is from Germany, Sache and Wittgenstadt, and it's actually a court. It's so that the miners, because mining is of course at this time, it is, if you imagine things you could do to the earth, mining is of course one of the worst things. And it wasn't easy for us, even in our culture, to start mining, to start doing this to the earth. It was under a long kind of conflict and so. And this is a little story about that time when this started to be possible for us, so we started to say that this is okay to do. And it's from 1490, so it's the starting of this. And the miners, they stand accused of mother murder on Mother Earth. And the earth is represented by the skillful Mercurius, den haletugnade Mercurius. Jag vet inte riktigt hur man översätter haletugnade, men the smooth tongue or something. Yeah. And it's actually the gods that talks, that gives their testimony here on things. And it says so here, Bacchus complains that they have drawn up and put to fire his vineyards and desecrated his most holy places. Ceres explains that her fields have been devastated. Pluto says that the miners' blows resound like thundering earth in the depth of the earth, so that he could hardly stay in his own kingdom. Najadena says that the underground water diverted so that her sources have dried up. And Charon added that the underground water has fallen so much he could no longer bring the soul